Hey guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to another retro adventure. The end of another week, the end of another poll. We've got a win for the Fungi from Yuggoth for Call of Cthulhu. Now this is going to be a PDF review, so we're going over to the computer desktop in a wee second. And I'll be back at the end of the video with some other channel related stuff and some other poll related stuff. But before I do that, I'd like to take a moment to talk about my Patreons, who this week I have been told know that the world is indeed comic, but the joke is on mankind. And it's this wisdom that they've got which makes them support the channel. And their support of the channel gives me the options to make videos that I want to make rather than ones that the YouTube algorithm wants me to make. And it's this options that I am so grateful to them for. Now if you'd like to join them and help support the channel, or you'd like to see these videos a week early, or you'd like to gain access to one of the other levels of patronage we've got, then we've got Patreon in the description down below. If you check it out, it'd be very much appreciated. But anyway, let's have a look at the Fungi from Yuggoth. So, this is the Fungi from Yuggoth, Desperate Adventures Against the Brotherhood, which came out from Chaosium in 1984. Although this is the 1987 second printing, I'm afraid I don't know if there's any differences between the first and second printing. Now this is a Call of Cthulhu campaign, although that's stretching things a bit, because while there are 8 separate adventures contained within the cover, most of these, I would say, would only take one night's play. There's maybe 3 or 4 hours play in most of these. So calling it a campaign which you would play across years is very much stretching things. You could probably sit down and play this throughout within a couple of months, really, of game sessions. But there's a lot of interesting stuff in here. Looking at the back cover, Schemes of the Migo. Internationally famous psychic Paul Lamont has disappeared. From the moment your investigators find him, they will be plunged into the black secrets of the sinister Brotherhood of the Beast and its inhuman masters. The investigators must traverse the globe in an effort to track down the manifestations of the Brotherhood and to find when the Day of the Beast is planned. The investigators will visit 4 continents and possibly an alien planet in search of occult mysteries, madness, and grisly death. This book contains a complete campaign in 8 chapters for Call of Cthulhu. Now within it, it's the usual high quality artwork and presentation that Chaosium did. Here's some nice stuff. We've got a credits page here, dedications page and copyright page here. We're onto the contents, showing the different chapters of it and the conclusion. Plus there's a couple of optional scenes. Nice picture of Howard Phillips himself. An introduction. So, talking through how it's laid out, what's in the appendices, how to expand the adventure if you want, and a plot synopsis of the Brotherhood of the Beast going through the different chapters. Right up to the optional scenes, in how you would include those in it, because they can happen virtually at any point. So, first up, you have the Dreamer. Now, this adventure, you are going after the bounty to find a missing person. There's money, reward being put up for the location of Paul Lamont, a famous New York spiritualist and medium. He's disappeared under mysterious circumstances. There's $2,000 reward for information leading to the safe return of him. And it's a fairly straightforward investigation. This is just a missing person. There's no real mythos involvement in this, except what has happened to Paul himself. He's totally normal now, but in the past, his soul got swapped with a member of the great race of Yith, who explore through time by swapping their souls with other people, their minds with people throughout time. And he spent 8 years under the control of this member of the great race of Yith, while he's been elsewhere in time, in its body. And he has now been returned after having his mind wiped, but he's become psychic through the manipulation, and he gets visions, which is affecting his life. But that's the only mythos part of it, the reason why he's disappeared. So we've got various investigation stuff, we've got a nice map of New York here, scenes, his mother's house, Herbert Whitefield's house, meeting Clarence Rogers, who has a lot of information on what's happened to Paul, and Paul Lamont's apartment itself. Herbert Whiteford's apartment, Bugsy Wexler's, different places you can explore, until you eventually locate him and return him to the mother for the reward. But this leads into the rest of it, because it's Paul Lemon's predictions and psychic visions which lead you on to further stages, especially in the kind of middle of the campaign, because it comes to a dead end, and it's not until Paul gets the next vision. And it even suggests that you go over and you start playing other campaigns and adventures in the meantime, before coming back to this. Next up, we've got the thing in the well. Paul has a vision that children are dying in Boston, and the players should investigate. So they head off, and they discover that there's a horrible mythos creature in a well, which is preying on children, and 3 children have been murdered. So you're investigating how it's ended up there, what it is, and you are defeating it. And just in a few pages, that's it over. But that leads us on to where the summoner got his information from. And it leads you down 2 paths, one to Egypt and one to Romania. So you head to Romania first to investigate Baron Hauptmann, who is a renowned character, the leader of a mystic brotherhood. And what will become clear through investigation of him is that he is many hundreds of years old. If they investigate the crypts beneath his castle as part of their investigation, they will find that the most recent one, who only died a few years ago, is actually just a villager who was grabbed and his body has been planted in there. So we've got information about the castle, the village. It's all kind of Hammer horror-ish to me. It feels like Vincent Price, no, Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee should be involved in this one. But you're speaking to villagers, you're finding out, you visit a gypsy camp, and then you investigate the castle itself. There's information about the basement and crypts, or catacombs, which reveal that Baron Hauptmann is so much older than he actually appears. And that leads you on with clues that there is the coming of the Day of the Beast, and the players will want to stop this, and the further clues lead on to Egypt. So you go on to the next adventure, the Sands of Time. So they arrive in Cairo, they have to trek across the desert, nice map of Egypt and northeast Africa there. There's desert bandits, and they reach the Well of Nofru Ka. There's a camp of people investigating it, the tomb itself, crocodile mummies, various things, and then you reach the conclusion. This chapter provides many clues at the activities of the Brotherhood, but leaves the investigators at an apparent dead end. At this point, there's room for an intermission that will give the investigators opportunity to explore other adventures. Or you could move directly into the next chapter, which is another vision from Paul Lamont. That there's things happening in Peru, and earthquakes are going to happen, people are going to die, the players should investigate. So they head to Peru. Now, it turns out this is the part the campaign's named after. The fungi from Yuggoth are there mining for a mystic material which they need to summon Dahols, if I'm pronouncing that right. But they've done this for a long time, and the local tribespeople have fought them off to stop these earthquakes which were devastating the area by summoning creatures of their own. So the players will investigate, they'll find different clues on what's causing the earthquakes, until they go head up to a mine in the mountain, and from there they eventually reach the Migo Cave, or Migo Cave. Now from there they can stumble through a portal to a moon colony and investigate that as well. But the successful part of this adventure will be finding the tribespeople who have fought off the Migo before, to stop them exploiting this material that they need. And they summon Yig to fight off the Migo. We've got stats for him and information about him there. The conclusion of this part, though, is that they find that somebody else, the cult, have been mining the material as well. So it looks like they want to do summonings. So the players will discover where this shipment of the materials have gone and follow them to San Francisco. Now, these two parts are general investigation of the corporation, with the second part being when the Brotherhood discovers the players are investigating them and send mystical forces against them. So we've got some general investigation here, following the truck, the temple where it's been taken, a nice map of California, the area beneath the temple, a cabin with somebody who looks obviously like a Deep One. He's got some Deep One blood in there. Lang Fu is 2,000 years old and has been involved in summoning Deep Ones before. Where you can see the sort of cults there. And that section ends when the attack comes, the thing from between the planes. So the cult, the Brotherhood, summons up a creature to go after the players. But their investigation will continue after that. There's a research station, they can get a guided tour of it. Various other characters, until the conclusion where the players can get the government involved to start shutting down the Brotherhood. But the finale is back to Egypt, where the summoning is taking place on the Plateau of Giza, where the Great Pyramid is. So the players are going to go back to this absolutely iconic location where there's the pharaohs and the temples, all that. The Great Sphinx, that's the word I was looking for, the Sphinx. And you can see there's a map here with the Sphinx laid out, the three Great Pyramids, and they'll be summoning this beast, which the players, of course, have to stop. We've got the key to the necropolis, and conclusion which will... or the conclusion offers different options to the Games Master to ramp up the difficulty or calm it down, depending on how his players are doing, to give them a chance. And that's the end of the adventure. Now we've got these two optional scenes where the players can use magic to visit a library some 6 trillion miles away on a different planet. They can visit the library with the Great Hall and find out information about what's going on. And there's another scene where they conduct a seance with Paul Lamond to contact the spirit of Nofru-Ka, this ancient Egyptian, which started off the Brotherhood. And that scene plays out. We've also got appendices with lots of information, so information about the death of Nofru-Ka, the Brotherhood of the Beast, background information on them, various characters, New World Incorporated, the Sons of Terror, the Temples of Ronpaku, just lots of information that we use throughout, as well as a timeline of events and an index. And that leads us up to the back. There's a few handouts after that, but nothing really of import to the adventure, just the standard feelies that Chaosium hands out. Now, it's an interesting adventure. I'm not sure why it's called the Fungi from Yuggoth, because it's all about this Brotherhood. The Fungi from Yuggoth only take part in one of the 8 adventures, although that does lead to the second part of the campaign. As I said, a number of these, like the original investigation for Paul Lamond and the finale, probably are over in one session. There's some other parts which might take a few weeks to go through, going across Egypt and reaching the tomb. Might take a couple of sessions to get to, but there's nothing beyond that where it's more than 1 or 2 sessions of play. It's a very, very short campaign. But I do kind of like it. It's spanning the world. If you wanted to as a Games Master, you could really flesh it out by adding in lots of stuff from the main Cthulhu rules about travelling around the world. Various events which happen on steamships as you cross the oceans and all that. You could flesh it out into a really big campaign, but that would require a lot of work from the Games Master. the product as published is only fairly short. So that was the Fungi from Yuggoth, and that won the poll this week with some 32% of the vote. And it was leading for most of the week. However, towards the end of the week, the second position, Denial of Destiny for the Star Trek role-playing game, was catching up and came in on 24% at the end of the week. And I would love to have covered that. I've had so much fun looking through Star Trek Adventures in the past. It'd be nice to look at another, but we'll get around to that. I'll put one in the polls in the future. Behind that, on 20%, was Orkbusters for Paranoia, which would have been fun. Mission Arcturus came in 4th place for 2300 AD on 13%. And in last place was the Gemini Conspiracy for Star Race, which came on only 11%. Which is really sad because Star Race was one of the first role-playing games I bought, and it's basically Star Wars, but with all the details kind of wiped out to avoid breach of copyright. And it would have been fun to look through an adventure, because back in the day I only owned the box set of the rules. But anyway, they're all cleared out. Now, I'm going over to a retro RPG poll, but I'm keeping the options in it pretty easy for me to do a video on. As in the next week, I'm going to be visiting hospital, not for myself, my wife's got some appointments, but it means I'm going to be very busy, so I need something I'm going to be able to do fairly easily. So, first up, we've got Infantry Weapons of the World for Twilight 2000. Now, we've covered Heavy Weapons of the World before, and this is an equipment book. But this one's slightly different because it came out while Dark Conspiracy was out. So it doesn't just contain assault rifles and things used in the Twilight War. It also includes laser weapons and things that would be existing in the science fiction game that was Dark Conspiracy. It's kind of fun. After that, we've got Rifts Book 12, Skyscape, for Rifts. Now, Rifts books are always worthwhile. This is an alternate dimension one, kind of superhero-like, and it'd be kind of fun to look through if we get that option. After that, we've got Denizens of Earthdawn Volume 2. Now, Earthdawn I talk about a lot because it's one of my favourite settings. Now, I'm putting this in the poll, but if it doesn't win, I'm probably going to be covering it in the future because I really want to cover some Earthdawn stuff and go more detail about that world because I do adore it so much. But this is the Denizens Book 2. I've covered Book 1 in the past because it covers the races of Barsave, the world of Earthdawn, which are kind of like standard fantasy races, but a little bit different. And it's that twist which makes it really interesting. After that, we've got the Stargazers Tribe book for Werewolf the Apocalypse, focusing on one of the tribes. These are the more mystical ones, the ones that look at the stars and predict the future. The mystics of the werewolf tribes. And finally, we've got the Brotherhood for Mutant Chronicles. Now, it's been ages since I've covered anything Mutant Chronicles. It's kind of like Doom, the role-playing game. Lots of heavily armed people shooting up demons in space. Wildly fun. But for some reason, none of the source books have ever won a poll, and it'd be really fun if we could do that. But it's in your hands now. We shall see what we're doing next week. What else have I been up to? Well, over at DrivethruRPG, I've been releasing some sci-fi classes. Now, this is in my build-up to releasing a multiversal setting with a campaign and some adventures, where people come together from different settings. So I've been doing pirates, Wild West, Victorian horror, now sci-fi, and I've got a couple of others planned. I'm looking at biopunk, but I can't really see too many differences between that and cyberpunk, which I've already covered. So that might not be one of them, but I'm creating all these classes so people can come together from the multiverse to this place, and you can choose to play whatever you want. But they're on DrivethruRPG, and of course they're being released to Patreons of Laird and Librarian status through the Patreon, through the shared Google Drive. So if you're interested in those, the link to the Patreon's in the description down below, and if you join at Librarian and Laird, you'll get access to the shared Google Drive and all of the things I've put together, now up to almost 500 of them. And over on RPG Gamer, well, still working through the Knights of the Old Republic comics, having great fun with those. I really like the storyline, even if it has kind of strayed off the original concept for a while, but I'm sure it will come back to it in the soonness of time. And of course I'm doing stats from those. And on TV at the moment there's still the Acolyte series, which I am really enjoying. It's had a couple of down episodes, but it's had some brilliant episodes as well. And I'm working my way through the reviews of those. The last one will be in the week coming, and then I'll go back and I'll stat out all of those for the original Star Wars D6 system. But, as usual, I think I've been wittering on for quite long enough, so thank you very much for watching. But as always, most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.